Welcome to Sports Communications, Topic 3. This is 3D Promotions Part 10, where we finalise talking about promotion. One thing we need to be really aware of is commercial identity rights. We have commercial identity rights over our own identities and brands, but not over anyone else, and we need to make sure we don't pass off. Identity equals the name, the likeness, the voice and the tone, the physical characteristics and other references to persona, to use a nice Americanism. In the US, it's called related use, and under the First Amendment, you have protection because you've created something. The American transformative use doesn't work. The test doesn't work in New Zealand, but what we do have is passing off and copyright, and that tends to protect people's brand identities. However, sometimes it goes wrong. You need to be aware of that. Like Harrods, who was the guy who was called Herod of the grocer's shop, and he created green bags with gold writing on. And that was judged to be passing off because the bags were like Herod. He was allowed to use his name, but he couldn't use the brand. Fred Dagg and the Kiwi Bank ads. You might think that it's Fred Dagg's voice in the background of the Kiwi Bank ads, but it isn't. Many people assume it is actually John Clark. And Moana and the Moa Hunters. Moana can't use her name, Moana, in Germany when she's advertising because the name Moana has been trademarked in Germany. And where are the boundaries when this is actually somebody's name? A little bit tricky worldwide. As well as considering commercial identity, you also need to think carefully about how you pay for promotion and how that fits with your brand. You need to think about any kind of advertising or promotional campaign and its fit with what it is that your brand stands for. If you are a really cheap and cheerful brand, you can't do a high-powered ad campaign. Companies need to be very protective of their identities because that's actually the value in the brand. Courts are going to test who benefited from the arrangement. So if you try and shortcut something like Nike Town looking like they're aligned with the Olympics just because their Nike Village was just outside the Olympic Village, the courts might actually say, well, you're passing off, or it doesn't pass the US transformative test, and so you're going to get fined. The arguments are where you haven't paid for promotion, of course, it's cheaper. There are rights to creative license. There's an argument that passing off is actually just being creative and clever, and that we shouldn't penalise that. So that also relates to ambush marketing. But the other thing you need to think about is if it creates lots of controversy, so there's actually true conflict and it alienates half your customers, is it worth it? Some people will say yes, some people will say no, and some brands are more subversive and therefore their clientele is more accepting of this than others. Equally, if you've paid for a license, you've entered into a contract with somebody, and you need to ensure that you've got a robust contract, that you can protect your investment by meeting your contract requirements, or that you can protect your investment by ensuring whoever's providing you with your channel can meet your requirements. You need to be vigilant in monitoring all your uses, otherwise what you've paid for erodes away. You need to check speech, images and video. You need to check content, tone and fit with your brand, and to make sure nobody else is poaching your brand. You need to follow up on all unauthorised uses and prosecute if it continues. And if it does continue, you really do have to use the law. Otherwise, there's no point in having licensed. So to recap, consider all of these for your communications plan: advertising, public relations, sponsorship, sales promotion, direct marketing, personal selling, internet marketing, licensing, incentives, and atmospherics, because they all have value for when it comes to promotions.